Rain hit the streets of Gangnam like a punishment. Zara Bennett stood outside a black iron gate, package scanner in hand, delivery uniform soaked through. She had 6 more stops and 0 patience for delays. A Rolls-Royce pulled up slowly. Black. Spotless. Wrong weather for a car that expensive. 4 men in dark suits stepped out first. Then him. Tall. Still. The kind of man who walks like the world owes him silence. Zara looked at her clipboard. ID required for this delivery. Company policy. One of the security men stepped forward. Do you know who this is? I know he doesn't have ID, she said. No ID. No package. The courtyard froze. Nobody spoke to Kang Do-hyun like that. Nobody. Not politicians. Not police. Not men with guns. But this woman in scuffed boots didn't even blink. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned and got back in the car. What Zara didn't know was that in 24 hours, he would own the company she worked for. Not because he needed it. Because he needed to see her again. The rain hadn't stopped. Zara sat in the delivery van eating a cold triangle kimbap, going through her route. 6 stops. Gangnam. Itaewon. Back to the depot by 9. She had savings goals. Commercial kitchen equipment wasn't cheap. Stop 4 was a private estate behind iron gates. No name on the order. Just an address and a signature requirement. She buzzed the intercom. The gate opened. She walked in. That's when the Rolls-Royce arrived. She didn't care about the car. She cared about the signature line on her scanner. I need a valid ID to release this package, she said clearly. The security team looked at each other like she'd spoken in a foreign language. The man in the center said nothing. He just looked at her. Cold eyes. Expensive coat. The posture of someone who had never once been told no. She held up the scanner. Policy applies to everyone. He studied her face. Not angry. Curious. Like he was trying to work out what she was made of. Then he turned. Got in the car. Left. Zara logged the failed delivery, took a photo of the gate, and drove away. She never thought about him again. He never stopped thinking about her. By midnight, Do-hyun knew everything. Zara Amara Bennett. 26. Chicago-born. Working visa. Employment at Seoul Metro Logistics for 11 months. No criminal record. No connections to rival networks. No angle. Just a woman who followed the rules. Park Jun, his second-in-command, stood by the window. She's nobody. A driver. She looked at me like I was nobody, Do-hyun said. Park Jun didn't respond. He had worked for Do-hyun for 9 years. He knew when to stay quiet. Do-hyun poured a drink and didn't touch it. In his world, everything had a price. Every person could be bought, threatened, or moved. That was the order of things. It had kept him alive since he was 19. But that woman hadn't checked who he was before she spoke. She hadn't adjusted her tone. She hadn't flinched. That was either stupidity or something he hadn't encountered in a long time. Honesty. He set down the glass. Who owns Seoul Metro Logistics? Park Jun pulled out his phone. A group of investors. Listed company. Buy it, Do-hyun said. The whole company? Every share. She would be back at work by morning. So would he. The memo arrived at 7:42 a.m. Zara was on her second coffee when her manager, Mr. O, walked into the break room looking like someone had died. "Company's been acquired," he said. "Overnight. Full buyout." Someone asked who the new owner was. Mr. O put a folder on the table and left the room without answering. Zara picked it up. Kong Holdings. The name meant nothing to her. She typed it into her phone. The results loaded. Her coffee went cold. Kong Holdings was one of the largest private holding companies in South Korea. Logistics, real estate, construction, port control. The chairman had no public profile. No interviews. No photos. Just power. She scrolled further. One article. Financial Times. 3 years old. There was a single image. Blurry. Taken from a distance. She recognized the coat. She recognized the posture. Her stomach dropped. Her manager reappeared in the doorway. "Ms. Bennett. The new owner has requested that all senior delivery staff report to the main conference room at 9. Zara looked at the photo again. "Is he going to be there?" she asked. Mr. O hesitated. That was her answer. The conference room smelled like money and bad intentions. 12 delivery staff stood in a line. Zara stood at the end, arms folded. Her scanner was clipped to her belt. The same scanner from yesterday. He walked in without a greeting. Black suit. No tie. Same cold eyes. He moved down the line slowly, nodding at each employee, making small, forgettable remarks. A performance. An inspection. He stopped in front of Zara. She didn't unfold her arms. "Ms. Bennett," he said. His English was clean and deliberate. "Mr. Kong," she said. She'd done her research by 8:30. "I understand you were unable to complete a delivery yesterday." "I completed it correctly," she said. The recipient wasn't compliant. Someone in the room stopped breathing. Doohyun reached into his jacket and produced a small black card. Slid it onto the scanner clipped to her belt. "My ID," he said quietly. She looked at it. Then she unclipped the package she still had in her bag from yesterday's failed delivery. Set it on the table in front of him. "Sign here," she said. He signed. Then he smiled. Small. Real. The first one in years. Doohyun didn't leave after the meeting. He stayed in the building. Reviewed staff files. Asked ordinary questions about routes, delivery times, fuel costs. Park Jun thought he had lost his mind. At noon, Doohyun walked through the depot floor. Zara was loading her van. She saw him coming and kept working. "You're still here," she said. "I own the building." "That doesn't mean you have somewhere to be." He stopped beside the van. Looked at the small notebook tucked into her jacket pocket. "What's that?" She hesitated. Then pulled it out. He opened it without asking. Kitchen equipment lists. Bulk food suppliers. Late night staffing schedules. Sketched floor plans. Small handwritten notes in the margins. Oven capacity. Morning prep schedules. A late night kitchen, he said. "Someday," she said. She took the notebook back. "Why Seoul?" She looked at him directly. Fresh start costs the same everywhere. Seoul just feeds people better. He didn't smile this time. He studied her like she was a problem he was trying to solve. Across the depot floor, one of the mechanics paused beside a crate and watched them a little too carefully. That evening, he called Park Jun. "Find me every small restaurant space in Mapo district." "For a night kitchen?" Park Jun stared at his phone. "For her?" he asked. Du Hyun had already hung up. 3 weeks passed. Du Hyun did not contact her directly. He reviewed logistics reports that didn't need reviewing. He reassigned himself to site visits that nobody requested. He was the most powerful man in Seoul and he was finding reasons to walk through a delivery depot. Park Jun said nothing. He was paid well enough to say nothing. On a Thursday, Du Hyun followed Zara's route on paper and ended up at a small street market in Hongdae where she bought lunch every week. He arrived before her. There was a line. He stood in it. Zara arrived 7 minutes later. She saw him immediately. Stopped walking. He was standing third in line behind 2 university students and a grandmother with a shopping cart. "You're in line," she said. "I am," he said. "You don't have to do that." "You told me the law applies to everyone," he said. "I assumed lines did too." She stared at him. He stared back. She got in line behind him without another word. They ate tteokbokki from paper cups standing on the pavement. He didn't speak much. She didn't ask him to. Halfway down the street, a man across from the market lifted his phone and took a photo. Neither of them noticed. The photo would be published in 4 days. The Baek Tiger Syndicate had been watching Kang Du Hyun for 2 years. They had tried money. They had tried alliances. They had tried pressure through government contacts. None of it worked. Du Hyun was sealed. No weakness. No visible attachment. No person in the world he could not walk away from. Until now. The photo was low quality. Street market. Paper cups. 2 people standing close enough to suggest something. Baek Sung-min, the syndicate's operations chief, placed it on the table. "Who is she?" His analyst answered within an hour. "Everything. Chicago. Visa. Depot. Notebook full of restaurant plans. Nobody. A delivery driver." That was what made her dangerous. Baek Sung-min understood men like Du Hyun. They didn't fall for women who matched their power. They fell for women who ignored it. Begin surveillance. "I want her schedule, her route, her building," Baek Sung-min said. He looked at the photo again. "Every king has a weakness. Find his." The analyst hesitated. "She has no connection to his operations. She's a civilian." "Exactly," Baek Sung-min said. "That's why she works." That same evening, Zara finished her shift and walked home through Mapo. She noticed nothing. But on the corner behind her, a black sedan kept pace. It turned when she turned. And this time it didn't turn away. Du Hyun found out about the surveillance on a Friday morning. His security team intercepted a Baek Tiger operative 2 blocks from Zara's apartment building. The man had a camera, a printed schedule, and her photo. Du Hyun sat with that information for 47 minutes. Then he drove to the depot himself. Zara was loading parcels. She saw his car and kept working. "I need to talk to you," he said. "I'm on the clock." "Zara." She stopped. He had never used her first name before. She turned around. His face was different. Tighter. The coldness was still there, but something underneath it had shifted. "There are people watching you," he said. "Because of me." I need you to let my team relocate you temporarily. She looked at him for a long moment. Relocate me, she repeated. For your safety. You bought my workplace. You followed my lunch route. And now strangers are watching my building. She stepped closer. Do-hyun. I am not a problem for you to manage. I'm not managing you. I'm trying to protect you. I didn't ask for that. She got into the van. He stood in the depot and watched her drive away. Behind her, 3 cars back, a dark vehicle pulled out of a side street. It didn't stop. Zara called him. She didn't plan to. But the car had followed her for 6 blocks and her hands were shaking by the time she pulled over near the Han River. He arrived in 11 minutes. He didn't say I told you so. He just stood beside her at the railing and looked at the water. They stayed quiet for a while. Why do they want me? She asked. Because you are the only thing I have done in 3 years that wasn't calculated, he said. She looked at him. He pulled back his left sleeve. A long scar ran from his wrist to his elbow. Old. Deep. The kind that doesn't come from accidents. I was 19, he said. My father's enemies wanted leverage. They used me to get it. I decided then that I would never give anyone that kind of access again. Access to what? To something I cared about. The river moved below them. Cold and dark and continuous. And now? She asked. He didn't answer directly. But he didn't pull his sleeve back down either. She looked at the scar for a moment. Then at him. I'm not leaving Seoul, she said quietly. He nodded once. Like he already knew. Like he was relieved. It happened without a plan. They were in the depot office. Late. Everyone had gone home. Zara was going through her route sheets and Do-hyun was reading nothing on a tablet he hadn't unlocked in an hour. She caught him watching her. Stop that, she said. Stop what? Looking at me like I'm something you're trying to figure out. He set the tablet down. You are something I'm trying to figure out. She put her pen down too. What is there to figure out? I'm a delivery driver who wants to open a night kitchen for drivers. That's the whole story. You walked up to the most dangerous man in Korea and told him to show his ID. I was doing my job. You didn't flinch. I don't flinch at suits. He stood up. Moved to her side of the desk slowly. She didn't move back. You should be afraid of me, he said quietly. I know what you are, she said. I'm not afraid of it. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he kissed her. Soft. Careful. Like he wasn't sure he was allowed. She didn't pull away. When it ended, she exhaled slowly and looked at the wall. That was a bad idea, she said. Yes, he agreed. Neither of them moved. Across the street, a camera clicked twice in the dark. The man holding it smiled and sent the photos immediately. She was gone by Tuesday morning. Her van was found parked outside her apartment. Engine off. Door unlocked. Phone on the seat. Half a cup of coffee still warm in the holder. No struggle. No noise. No witnesses. Which meant whoever took her knew exactly how to do it. Park Jun called Do-hyun at 6:14 a.m. Do-hyun was at the scene by 6:31. He stood beside the van and did not speak for 2 full minutes. His security team knew better than to fill the silence. Then he crouched down and looked at the pavement beside the driver's door. A small symbol scratched into the asphalt. Faint. Deliberate. A tiger with no face. The Beck tiger calling card. Do-hyun stood up slowly. Park Jun stepped forward. We can contact the... No police, Do-hyun said. Do-hyun. Find me Beck Sungmin's location. Every safe house. Every associate. Every vehicle registered to anyone connected to that syndicate. His voice was completely flat. All of it. In 1 hour. Park Jun nodded and stepped away. Do-hyun looked at the coffee cup through the window. Still warm. She hadn't been gone long. She was alive. She had to be alive. He got in the car. He hit the first safe house at noon. He didn't send a team ahead. He went in first. Park Jun stopped arguing about that after the second location. 3 safe houses. 12 men. 4 hours. Do-hyun moved through each one like something cold and mechanical. He asked one question at every location, where is she? When the answer was wrong or absent, he made sure the next person they reached would be more cooperative. By the 4th location, people were talking before he asked. Park Jun watched from the doorway of a warehouse in Incheon and felt something he rarely felt around Do-hyun. Fear. Not of the violence. He had seen violence before. It was something else. It was the silence. Do-hyun didn't shout. He didn't threaten dramatically. He simply moved forward, one step at a time, with the total certainty of a man who had already decided how this would end. At 4:47 p.m., a name surfaced. An industrial building in Wojongbu. Northern edge of the city. Do-hyun was in the car before Park Jun finished the sentence. He looked at his phone once during the drive. No messages. Of course not. She didn't have her phone. But she was stubborn enough to still be breathing. He was certain of it. The basement was cold and smelled like rust. Zara sat on a concrete floor with her wrists zip-tied in front of her. She had been counting ceiling panels for 3 hours. 17. She counted them again to stay sharp. She was not going to cry. She had decided that immediately. 2 guards. 1 door. 1 small window near the ceiling, too high and too narrow. She had already assessed it. A man came in around midday. Well dressed for a basement. He sat across from her on a folding chair like this was a business meeting. You understand why you're here, he said. Because someone is afraid of Do-hyun, she said. He smiled. We just need him to make a decision. Then call him. Leave me out of it. You are the decision. She looked at him steadily. She thought about the river. The scar on Do-hyun's arm. The way he had kissed her like he was asking permission. He'll come, she said. Yes, the man agreed. That's the point. She looked back at the ceiling panels. 17. The building shook. Then the lights went out. Then the door came off its hinges. Do-hyun came through the door first. No announcement. No warning. Just the sound of metal giving way, and then he was in the room, 3 men behind him, moving fast and without hesitation. It was over in minutes. Zara sat still on the floor while it happened around her. She kept her eyes open. She watched every second of it. Do-hyun was not the man from the depot office. Not the man who stood in line at a street market or signed a delivery scanner with a small smile. This was something older. Something built from years she hadn't witnessed. He cut the zip ties himself. His hands were steady. She noticed that. Can you walk? He asked. Yes, she said. He helped her up anyway. Outside, the night air hit her face and she breathed it in slowly. There were vehicles everywhere. Men she didn't recognize. Park Jun on a phone call that sounded serious. Do-hyun kept his hand on her arm. She looked up at him. His jaw was tight. His eyes were doing the thing they did when he was controlling something internal. I saw what you did in there, she said quietly. He didn't respond. Do-hyun. She waited until he looked at her. I'm not going to pretend I didn't see it. He exhaled slowly. I know, he said. The story broke on a Thursday morning. Zara was at Do-hyun's residence, the first time she had agreed to stay anywhere he suggested. She was drinking coffee and reading supplier quotes for industrial burners and stock pots when Park Jun knocked and placed a tablet on the table. The headline was large and confident. Ice Emperor's secret weapon, the American con artist who infiltrated Kong Holdings. She read it slowly. The article claimed she was a plant. An American operative working for a rival network, using a fake restaurant business as cover. It named her visa. Her Chicago address. Her savings account balance, which was wrong by 40,000 won. There were photos. The street market. The depot office window. The river. All real. All reframed. At the bottom, a named source. Entertainment and media analyst Jun Ji-won. Zara put the tablet down. She built this carefully, Zara said. She has been building it for weeks, Park Jun said. Do-hyun stood at the window. He hadn't moved since the tablet arrived. My visa, Zara said. Can they pull it? Silence. That was her answer again. She stood up. Folded the equipment quotes. Put them in her bag. Then I need a lawyer, she said. And I need to call Chicago. Do-hyun turned from the window. Zara. I handle my own problems, she said. But her voice cracked. Just slightly. She tried to leave on a Sunday. Not dramatically. No argument. She simply packed her bag, called a taxi, and walked toward the entrance of the residence. Do-hyun was in the corridor. He saw the bag. He saw her face. Where are you going? He asked. Back to my apartment. I won't hide here while my name is being destroyed in the press. Your apartment isn't safe. Nowhere near you is safe either, she said. At least my problems there are my own. Zara. I came to Seoul to build something. Her voice was steady but her eyes were tired. I had one plan. One simple plan. And now my name is in every headline and my visa is being reviewed and she stopped. Reset. I didn't sign up for this world. Do-hyun said nothing. I don't blame you, she said. But I can't be a weakness you have to protect. I can't live like that. She moved past him. He turned. And then Kang Do-hyun, the Ice Emperor of Seoul, the man who had dismantled 4 safe houses without raising his voice, went down on one knee. Right there. In the corridor. No audience. She stopped walking. Turned around slowly. He looked up at her. No performance. No strategy. Just a man out of moves. She stared at him for a long time. He stayed on the floor. Get up, she said. Not yet. Do-hyun. I have spent 15 years making sure nothing could be used against me, he said. Every decision. Every alliance. Every room I walked into. Calculated. Sealed. I gave no one anything real. She was quiet. And then you told me to show my ID, he said. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. She exhaled slowly. I'm not asking you to stay in my world, he said. I'm asking you to let me come into yours. The kitchen. The long nights. The people you feed. I will stand in every line. I will learn how the kitchen works. I will be ordinary if that is what it costs. She looked at the bag in her hand. Then at him. You are not an ordinary man, she said. No, he agreed. But I could be yours. The corridor was very quiet. She didn't say yes immediately. He didn't rush her. She set the bag down slowly. Get up, she said again. This time he did. She looked at him for another long moment. Ji-won still has to answer for what she did, Zara said. She will, he said. I mean legally. Publicly. Not your way. Agreed, he said. She nodded once. Then we have work to do. Do-hyun moved before the 48 hours were up. Not with violence. Zara had made that condition clear and he had agreed to it, and he was, above everything, a man who kept his word. He used what he actually had. Evidence. Park Jun had been building a file on Yoon Ji-won for 11 days. Financial transfers between her media company and 3 shell accounts connected to the Baek Tiger syndicate. Encrypted communications. A signed directive ordering Zara's surveillance before the kidnapping. The file went to 3 places simultaneously. The Financial Crimes Investigation Unit. The Broadcasting Ethics Committee. One senior journalist at a rival publication who had been trying to expose Ji-won for 2 years and needed exactly this. Do-hyun did not hold a press conference. He did not make a statement. He simply released the documents and let the truth move at its own speed. It moved fast. The kind of fast that ends careers before lunch. By Friday morning, Ji-won's program was pulled from broadcast. Her company's board called an emergency meeting. 2 of her known associates were detained for questioning. Park Jun brought the update to Do-hyun at breakfast. Do-hyun read it once and set it aside. And Zara's visa review? He asked. Withdrawn, Park Jun said. Do-hyun poured another coffee and said nothing. But his shoulders dropped. Just slightly. Zara called the press conference herself. Do-hyun's team offered to arrange it. She thanked them and arranged it on her own terms. Small room. 12 journalists. No prepared statement. Just a woman at a microphone. She spoke for 9 minutes. She talked about Chicago. About saving money for 3 years to afford a fresh start. About what it costs to move to a country where you don't speak the language and build something from nothing. She talked about doing her job correctly on a rainy night in Gangnam. She did not mention Do-hyun by name. She didn't need to. She laid out the timeline clearly. The surveillance. The kidnapping. The article. The fabricated sources. She held up printed documents. She named Yoon Ji-won directly. Her voice did not shake. When she finished, a journalist near the front raised a hand. Ms. Bennett, do you plan to stay in Seoul? She looked at the camera. I came here to open a place that feeds the people who work all night, she said. I'm not leaving until I do. The room applauded. She gathered her papers, walked out the side door and found Do-hyun standing in the corridor. He had watched the whole thing on a monitor in the next room. He said nothing. He didn't need to. His face said everything. It opened on a Tuesday, small space in Mapo district. Warm light through the front window. The smell of garlic, broth, and hot rice reaching the street before 7 in the morning. The sign above the door reads simply, Bennett's Night Kitchen. Zara had painted it herself. The line formed before she unlocked the door. Neighbors. A few journalists she recognized. Park Jun, who looked uncomfortable holding a paper bowl but finished every bite without complaint. Do-hyun arrived last. He was not in a suit. Dark coat, no security visible, hands in his pockets. He joined the back of the line without announcement. The line outside the kitchen stretched halfway down the street. Drivers, mechanics, night shift nurses, students finishing late classes. Zara moved fast behind the counter, sleeves rolled up, steam rising from the kitchen behind her. No one asked him to move forward. When he finally reached the counter, Zara didn't look surprised. She slid a small order pad across the counter. Name? She asked. He almost smiled. Kong. She wrote it down slowly, then she pointed toward the pickup counter. Order number 47. Wait your turn. Do-hyun nodded once and stepped aside. 3 people recognized him and said nothing. When he reached the counter again, Zara was behind it. Apron spotted with broth and steam. Hair pulled back. She looked up. There's a line, she said. I know, he said. Drivers eat here too. I figured I should learn the rules. She slid a brown paper bag across the counter. Inside was a hot rice bowl and a small envelope. He opened the envelope. Inside was a receipt. One small restaurant space in Mapo district. Paid in full. Under her name and a delivery scanner printout from 11 months ago. Failed delivery. Reason, recipient non-compliant. She had kept it. He looked up. She was already helping the next customer. He reached into his coat and placed a document on the counter. Slid it across. A marriage license application. Already filled out in his handwriting, signed at the bottom like a delivery receipt. She looked at it for a long moment. Then she picked up a pen and signed it.